Hi guys, today is the 2nd of October 2020 and it's 16 minutes past 7 in the evening over here in the UK. By now, I think you'll be aware that Donald Trump is saying that he's been diagnosed with coronavirus. I'm suspicious. Now, in this video, right here on the eyebrow, we have what we believe is Donald Trump lying on his back. Excuse me. We have what we believe is Donald Trump lying on his back, and over here, perhaps a series of numbers. I've looked at them as different ones. You've got potentially number 1, the number 5, and the number 2, the number 7, as well as it being an upside down L, possibly representing the number 12. Obviously, with the 1225 in there, that brings us to Christmas Day. And so there's that potential. But there's also the potential for 1 and 5, which is the 15 reference, and there's a separate 7. So there's many different combinations of looking at it. But the reason that we said that Donald Trump will probably get coronavirus in earlier videos is because we believe that the George Bush character represents Donald Trump in this iPad Go-To video, and the dark circles under the eyes, as well as the redness of the nose and around the forehead, indicating the temperature, kind of gave us a reference to illness. And as the coronavirus became more prevalent from the end of last year through this year, that theory took on more prevalence. So as the video goes on, or as the video started, the first thing that the Bush character says is, "Fool me once." And we've been waiting for this fooling to come along, and it's possible that this could be it. Perhaps Donald Trump is saying he has coronavirus when he really doesn't, and it comes out that he doesn't have coronavirus, and essentially that's the fool me once. Shame on you. So that's just a theory. But obviously, as he says that, we also have him pointing up at the missile, which is also drawn in the shape of a penis urinating or ejaculating, which could have connections to, the cult rumors or the P-tape rumors, which again would bring shame if something like that was to be released. So just keep an eye out for that still. Moving a bit further down the video, just very quickly, we get to the Obama scene and he's laughing and he has the LOL up here, which can also be interpreted as 101. If there was a line here dividing the 0 from this end one, you'd have 10-1, which would be October 1st. Now, October 1st is actually the date that Donald Trump was diagnosed with the coronavirus, very late in the evening, coming on to the early hours of the 2nd of October. So perhaps that is a reference with the laughing Obama there, perhaps laughing at the fact that Donald Trump's got coronavirus on the 1st of October. As we move on, we come to this scene here, and I've said in many videos that this character here seems to be one of the most significant characters in this whole frame, including the girl who's front and center. The reason is he's the only character that seems to be hidden partially behind other characters hidden in the background just there. And with the Follow the White Rabbit reference connected with Alice in Wonderland, he's looking at this character here. We count them along, and he's the 8th character if you're just counting the blue characters, or the 9th character if you include the girl in the count. I tend not to include the girl in the count when I'm going around, but I'll explain in just a minute. So with the number 8 connecting us with August, which is something that George Bush says in this video, it's a month that we looked at quite strongly, and obviously August has passed, and I can't say nothing happened, but a lot of the events that we were looking for didn't happen. Now, the number 8 can also be a reference to the month of October on the Roman calendar, if that's the calendar they're using, in which case this character would be a reference to this month, or this month in another year. With all the things going on in 2020, I won't be surprised if things unfolded this year, but clearly we've been wrong before, so let's just put that out there. It could be another year, or it could be never. My hope is never, but I'm still cautious. So the 8th character, potentially October on the Roman calendar. We don't have the 2 marks or the 2 leaves connected with this whole vine mess going on in the background, which kind of gives me a reference to 8-2 or 8-11. Of course, if it's 8-2, then that's the day. We have what could be an F coming up here in another part of the vine leaf, and today is Friday. and then we have the third leaf kind of separate from the rest, which could give you a time reference of 3 o'clock. Now 3 o'clock on the East Coast comes up in about 38 minutes, so I'm a little bit late on this warning, if it is to be a warning. However, better late than never, as they say. In terms of what could potentially happen, there's many things, but one of the things I'm looking at is something to do with the UK. As I've said before, the blue-red colour scheme, emergency lighting, the exit with the blue-red colour scheme being R for Brexit, the apple first taken from the United Kingdom over to the United States, England's Rose, Alice in Wonderland, written by an English author. The black and white colour scheme of the tiles, Freemasonry, started in Scotland over here in the UK. So there's many references to the UK over here, and obviously as we roll on to the next scene, we then get the pound coin. So clear references there. While it's 3 o'clock on the East Coast, it will be 8 o'clock over here, which is another reference that we get in the apple as it moves on to the next scene. I'll be going there in a minute. I just wanted to say before I forget, while I'm looking at the black and white tiles reminding me of Freemasonry, Donald Trump was diagnosed with coronavirus on on the 1st of October, which is 33 days from the election. And obviously we know that 33 is a strong connection to Freemasonry. So with all of that said, I will now let the video move on. Actually, before I do, if I'm considering this to be October the 2nd, there's a potential to count on October the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and then we come back round to the girl for October the 7th. When I did that count, I thought, no, but then I remembered that when she does drop the apple and it rolls over, that reference to number 7 comes up again as we look at it on the ground, just here, upside down. Could be an L as we're looking at it, but a 7 from Obama's perspective, it would be upside down. So perhaps there's an event that takes place on the 7th, and when I was looking at it, it's a dark 7 as she drops the apple. If she's a reference to the 7th day in October, then the colour scheme changes to emergency lighting, which suggests that something's happened to the lights or to the power. Well, not technically to the power, but at least to the lights. And then I was thinking, as the video rolled on and we came outside, I was thinking, but a blackout in the whole of the United States so early on the 7th, when I've got interpretations for other things coming later on in the month. But then as I was watching and it kind of zoomed out, I was thinking, it can't be a blackout in the whole of the United States because they've got lights here, they've got lights here, there's lights here, there's lights here. So what does that really signify? And I was thinking the only place that lights go out is in the towers, one kind of looking like the Statue of Liberty, the other, whichever building, Empire State, whichever, monument you'd like to connect that with, but very New York reference. So and obviously the Twin Towers smoking, like again, connects you to New York. The lights go out in one of the towers, and as the first tower collapses, it's assumed that the second tower goes with it because you can't see it through the smoke. So that made me think perhaps the blackout is localized, and it's not the whole of the United States at this time, but just the area of New York. And of course, when I thought back and thought, okay, with the emergency lighting going down with the girl, she's holding the apple, connection to New York. Again, the rose is also a connection to New York. And as it comes onto this scene and the apple splits open, again, the apple standing there representing New York. And then I was thinking the lights going out in New York would definitely connect me with the scene later on in the video where the lights go out above the Statue of Liberty as the scene unfolds. Then you have the tsunami kind of moving in. It's not clear whether that would be on the same day. From my interpretations, I'm not entirely sure because we have that tsunami wave just down here with the number 15 attached to it as well, and a little submarine or missile coming up out of that wave. So keeping an eye out in half an hour's time or so for anything unfolding in the UK or in New York from those two references. And then in 4 days time, or 5 days time, excuse me. After that, after the second event, nothing happens, regardless of whether anything happens or doesn't. I'll still be then looking out on the 7th for any events around New York and their power or their lighting. If that then goes on to happen, we've got the reference of 8 in the middle here. And again, just remember that I'm looking at the 8 as a reference to the 8th month on the Roman calendar, which is October, the month we're in now. And then we have these seeds here. Now they can be seen in a series of ways, but again, you've got the number 8 in the middle, being made out of the roots of 2 of the seeds. So again, if you're thinking back to the figure in the previous scene, we're classifying as the 8th character, he has those 2 marks above his head. In this scene, it's kind of shown again, just in a different way, with the number 8 in the middle and the 2 seeds making that number 8. So we could again be having a reference to today. Again, that's why I'm looking out for around 3 o'clock on the East Coast and 8 o'clock in the UK. As I say that, again, we're drawn to that same number reference with the 8 in the middle, not just potentially representing the 8th month on the Roman calendar, which is October, but also the time of 8 o'clock, in which case it would be 3 o'clock on the East Coast, and we have 3 seeds here, and obviously the Apple reference in New York having that East Coast reference, and the pound coin down here giving us that UK reference. Of course, if today nothing happens, then those same sequence of numbers I will use, but I'll just be looking at the 11th of October instead, and that may be closer to other events that I may think, that I think may unfold, which comes around October the 15th. Sorry, there's a lot of information in this video. I didn't even realize I was doing this, but here we go. So October the 15th is when Donald Trump is supposed to debate Joe Biden again in Florida. And you guys know that I pay particular attention anytime Donald Trump is in Florida, because that's the indication of when a missile launch of some kind takes place. I'm getting that from the fact that on 9/11/2001, George Bush was in a school when the Twin Towers were attacked, and the children were reading a book called My Pet Goat. And obviously this video is I Pet Goat 2, referencing a sequel to 9/11, which we believe was a false flag attack. And it just so happens that Donald Trump will be in Florida in a performing arts school. Obviously that has references to stage and theatre. And when we're looking at the beginning of the scene, we have a lot of that in the tap dancing, the entertaining, the dunce hat, the clown hat, however you want to look at it, the party hat. It all gives you a reference to kind of entertainment. And, the puppet strings, again, we have that reference to entertainment. So if Donald Trump is going to be in Florida, where George Bush was on 9/11, and he's going to be in a school-type setting, similar to George Bush was on 9/11, then I think we must pay attention to the fact that there could be, as indicated in his body language, which comes up in just a few minutes, a missile launch while he's there giving his speech. And as you can see, his eyes are about to look up and over, suggesting something's going over his head. And I believe that's a missile, because that's just the motion that I get from it. At the same time, if I just go back a little bit, that same event taking place could be, aside from the coronavirus and the potential gunshot, what causes Donald Trump to end up on his back, perhaps a heart attack associated with the event or something similar. But again, coronavirus, gunshot, heart attack, stroke, those 4 things are on the top of my list for what potentially causes Donald Trump to end up being out of commission. Last thing I think I'll put in here is the jumping past October 11th and October 15th straight to October 31st. Again, I have that reference to Osama bin Laden. Obviously, Osama begins with O, and that could be a subtle reference to, connecting us with October, O for Osama, O for October. And then we have the 31 up here in the smoke or the clouds, and that could be referencing October the 31st. If that's the case, then that would be Halloween, which could give us a connection to, the figure of death in terms of the skeleton. And of course, 5 days after Halloween would be fireworks night, and we have a series of fireworks in the background. Excuse me. But if events around the Middle East, Osama bin Laden, ISIS, the Taliban, Afghanistan, Pakistan, even potentially India, will occur around the 31st, or potentially around the 31st, as may be indicated in the video up here, then that could also, this event of what appears to be the Middle East rising up could be a result of what has taken place in the Middle East, which could have connections with collateral damage. I say that because obviously as we move further down, we have this giant moon with a blue hue to it, which kind of gives us a reference to a blue moon. And it just so happens that on October the 31st, there will be a blue moon. So perhaps what has happened here has caused the Middle East to rise up. And if the moon is a reference, then October 31st would be a day to, for that to watch out for, basically. And if Osama bin Laden, if the figure of Osama bin Laden representing the Middle East is a representation of the Middle East rising up as a result of this collateral damage, then this collateral damage appears to happen earlier in the video, where we see the planes attack the mosque, as you can see, or if you can kind of remember what the scene looked like with the boy in white floating above. You had the tower there, you had the empty space, and the boys floating above it. It appears that the event of this missile hitting what appears to be a mosque causes collateral damage, which then causes the Middle East to rise up. And those 5 missiles that come out seem to have some connection with what then takes place in the Far East with North Korea, Taiwan, South Korea, and China, potentially 5 days later, on November 5th, with the fireworks reference. And obviously, if we're looking at the skeleton as potentially representing Halloween, then we have Halloween in the foreground, potentially October 31st. And then 5 days later, in the background, we have a reference to fireworks night. And then we have, again, another reference to number 5 with the tanks, and the 5 in the middle just here. So perhaps that's telling us November 5th. Again, all of these are just interpretations. I think this is where I'll leave it. But watch out today in about 25 minutes, 8 o'clock here in the UK, 3 o'clock on the East Coast, for anything happening in either location. Whether it does or doesn't, keep an eye out on October the 7th for potential blackout or lights out in New York. Or again, could be London, still have that same double connection there. We then, if nothing has occurred on October the 2nd, then that date reference is translated or transmuted to October the 11th. And then we have October the 15th, watching out for events with Donald Trump perhaps collapsing due to heart attack, stroke, coronavirus, or gunshot. If it is a stroke, perhaps it's related to an event that takes place involving a missile while he's in Florida. Yeah, that's and then obviously, of course, October 31st, for watching out any events around the Middle East and the blue full moon, any events that might cause collateral damage, causing the Middle East to rise up. And if that happens, or even if that doesn't happen, look out on November the 5th for events in the Far East with China, North Korea, South Korea, Taiwan. The Strait of Taiwan is another place to watch for a lot of contention. And if all of these things are happening in this month and leading on to other, November and December, it's kind of uh, celestially relevant that the month of October has started with a full moon and will also end with a full moon, kind of bookending the month of October with, you know, significant events happening above. And we need to, as well as watching out for the events on Earth, we also need to watch for the signs in the moon and the sun and the stars. So, with all of that said, you guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.